focaccia. It's fluffy, it's crunchy, and it's probably one of the best Italian recipes in my mind. Pizza, yeah. But focaccia, it's really up on the list for me. Or for us, I know you also love it.
I love it, I love it.
And it's easy. So we're going to show you how to make a nice, let's call it loaded focaccia, but there are many ways to do this. We're starting out with 520 to 550 milliliter of water. We're going for 85 to 90% hydration. So depending how wet you want it. And then we're gonna go in with, let's say, half a tablespoon of honey and 8 grams of dry yeast. And we're gonna give this a good mix. That's about it. Then we put this aside, and then we're gonna continue with our dry ingredients. And here we have 600 grams of type 00 wheat flour. This is Manitoba. You could use Caputo, you could use King Arthur, whatever you can get your hands on, but it has to be a type 00. That's important, so it's milled fine. To this, we are gonna add 20 grams of sea salt. It's a little bit above 3% of the flour weight. It's on the high end, but that needs to be there for the taste in the focaccia. And then we're gonna mix in 2 tablespoons of Greek oregano to give some nice flavor to the dough itself. So we mix now the dry ingredients just with a dough scraper, because we want everything well combined, because we're not gonna knead this dough. We're only gonna do flip and fold. And then we let this wait 5 minutes until our yeast has proofed. When our yeast is nice and bubbly, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a nice layer of foam here. That's what you wanna see. Then we get that in. And not to forget, we also want a little bit of olive oil, 2, 3 tablespoons maybe, just a couple of squirts, doesn't really matter how much, just you want some oil. And with a regular tablespoon, we start mixing. As I mentioned before, this is high hydration. We are up there close to 90% hydration, which is what's gonna give us a nice fluffy dough. Not only, because we're also gonna put cheese. So get all of this mixed together. And when it starts coming together, I'm just gonna shift to a dough scraper here to take down the flour from the sides so we get everything in here. Give it a couple of turns here. And then you have a nice but shaggy dough. And that we're going to cover. And then we're gonna let that double in size, and we'll see you in about 30 minutes. That was a bit more than half an hour, and let's see how it's doing. It doubled in size. It's still looking shaggy though. So now we're gonna give it a flip and fold, and then next time it won't look that shaggy, because then it starts getting some gluten strength. But go in with a wet hand, because this sticks to goddamn everything. So, and we flip it up like this, just over itself, and that will quickly begin to build some gluten network. It already tightens up a lot, you can see. So there we go, 4 or 5 times. We cover this up and we give it another half hour until doubled in size. In the meantime, we are going to prepare our cheese, because as I mentioned before, we are gonna add some cheese, and we wanna have that in the dough. Cut this up and cube it. Pretty small cubes, because I did the mistake once that I made 2 big cubes, and it's difficult to get into the dough, and you want them spread throughout the dough also, so you don't want to have just big chunks of cheese suddenly appearing. That's not very nice.
Actually, you could grate it also.
You could.
Huh?
You could.
Yeah.
You could actually.
Help.
So basically here, we're gonna go the other end here and cube them up. Nice,
Small.
nice little cubes, exactly. Because when we do the next flip and fold, these are gonna get incorporated into our dough. So we get a nice, cheesy, fluffy focaccia. That's the plan.
And I taste that cheese. It's very nice. Guys, don't go for any blunt cheese there.
No, no, no.
Get a kick, some saltiness, a bit of hard, like mild hardness, but you have a nice flavor.
Exactly. So let me get this into a bowl, and then we'll see you when we do the flip and fold. Another half hour, let's see how we're doing. And that became big. Ooh. That looks good. So Now we have to put the cheese in the dough, but before we do that, we want to prepare the oven pan that we're going to cook it in so that we are ready for that. And this we're going to give a healthy glug of olive oil. We are talking maybe half a cup, 125 milliliters, something like that.
Keep it
I know my wife say, yeah. But the bottom have to be covered. It has to be fully covered in oil. You don't have to make a thick layer, but it has to be covered. If you don't do this, first of all, you don't get the crunch. So you can say what you want, dear wife of mine, but you need oil for focaccia.
Okay.
So that's it, because that's what gives you the crunch and the nice thing. So a little bit more. There we are. Now, what we want to do is we want to take maybe a third of the cheese, maybe something like that, and spread it over top. And then with a wet hand again, we do a flip and fold now so we get the cheese into the dough. And once we cover it up like this, then we take another third of the cheese. And it doesn't matter, eventually a few of them will fall out, but I'll show you here in the pan what happens, because the dough will spread out and sort of
cover everything.
No, exactly, it will. Yeah. Exactly, that's what it will do. So upside down, and we take the rest of the cheese and get it mixed nicely in here. And as you see now the dough is strong and it releases, even though it's high hydration. So what we do now is we put it in the middle here, like this, put some oil on our fingers, a little bit to dimple it out. You cannot do it fully right now because the dough is stressed. It's like because of the gluten and the flip and fold. So we put it here in the middle. And now we're going to cover it. And then we're going to let it relax, probably 20 minutes, because the gluten network will relax and they will start spreading out and filling the whole pan. And then we will do some dimpling and stuff. I'll show you how to do that. While that is relaxing nicely, we're going to continue with our toppings. You can go 1,000 different ways on top of this, but we're going to go with some cherry tomatoes, some green pepper, and some rosemary. So let's start with our rosemary here, if I can rip that up, because I love rosemary on focaccia. It's so nice. So
it's very beautiful, aromatic.
I love that. So some fresh rosemary. Get it into a bowl here. I don't know how much we need. Probably all of it, I would say. Cherry tomatoes, but I don't want to only half them. I want to cut them into, like, I would say, slices.
Three pieces or something.
So we get nice cover and not too big pieces of tomato. You could put anything here. You could put
pepperoni.
Pepperoni. That's a good idea, actually. We should do that one time.
You can put sausages also.
Easy. You could put sausages. You could put ham. You could. Yeah, but that you have to put after you finish it.
Yes, at the end.
I will get these into a bowl. Whoop. And I make a mess. So everything is as it should. The universe is in order.
Yeah.
There we are. And then we're going to take our green pepper. Well, you could also put olives. We did that last time, actually. Olives is good on focaccia. This, we just want to dice it up finely. So cut them into strips and then give them a quick chop. Let's see if it relaxed. Ooh. And it looks good.
It's a big girl.
Almost filled the pan. So now we take our hands here, get some oil on the fingertips, and then we're going to dimple and stretch it, because that's the signature. You want the dimples. And if you see big bubbles like this, you pop them. See, now it's completely filled in the pan. This is going to be such a beautiful focaccia. And first up, before we do anything else, coarse sea salt. Hand-plucked in southern Peloponnese. It doesn't get better than that. And this is really good sea salt. Fleur de sel, and you want to sprinkle that because that gives extra goodness on the crust on top here. So we do that on breads also. It's
fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good when you do that. It's gives a bit of luxury to it, a bit of crunch there. That's it. And our rosemary, I want to put that before we put anything else, because otherwise it has a tendency to burn. So we sprinkle that over. So we get some nice rosemary flavors here. I love rosemary. It's a beautiful, beautiful herb. Love it. Like that. And then we're going to go in with our tomatoes. And we're going to press them down just a little bit and spread them evenly. And that's the last of the tomatoes. Bloop! There it went. Peppers are easier because they spread easy, the little ones. So we just sprinkle them over top here.
Oof, it's gonna be perfect focaccia.
It's gonna be very nice. If it was me, myself, and I would have put a bit of chili flakes. So now it's oven time, so see you over there. We have the oven preheated at 230 degrees, and we have a rack in the middle. So now we're gonna stuff this in, and we're gonna let it go 20-25 minutes until it's brown on top and starts sizzling around the edges. Then we get a nice crust on the bottom. 25 minutes in, so let's check our baby and see how it's doing. And that's looking good. That's really pretty, actually. That is done nice and sizzling. So that comes out. If that is not a pretty sight. Now we're gonna let this cool down to good eating temperature, and then we're gonna give it a taste. Ooh, listen to that. That sounds good. Crunchy and soft and cheesy, and look here. Crunchy. And look at this. It's so good. It's so gooey. It's so nice.
Like a pillow.
This is fantastic. Add whatever toppings, as we said, or make it without any toppings. Just make it as a bread and use it for sandwiches. This is fantastic. Try it out.